Welcome back to Beautiful Stutter. My name is Bo Rhodes, and this is my journey to stop stuttering. I am not a speech pathologist. I am a doctor of chiropractic and a lifestyle coach. What I share with you are my experiences on how I continue to become more fluent. This video will be unedited, so you can see and hear how I speak. I talk a lot about putting systems in place to create change. If you want to do something that you've never done before, you got to do the things that you've never done. To stop stuttering, it's not just trying to focus on how you talk. You need to focus on how you think, how you act, how you live your life. I talked in a previous video about the belief system. That's your foundation. How you believe. If you believe it with truth, that truth will come true. You control your life by controlling your thoughts. So putting in a strong belief system of the change that you want to make is critical. It's your first decision that you need to make. And in order for that to work, you have to be consistent with how you think. You need to discipline the mind in order to maintain and grow that success. Discipline is earned, and it's earned over time. It is doing the things that you don't want to do and then doing them. And not only doing them, but doing the things that you don't want to do or hate and doing them like you love it. So the disciplined mind is how we stay consistent. And that's why whatever change you're trying to make, for this video, it's my stutter. I need to keep that goal on the forefront of my mind as much as possible. That's the quickest way. It took me a long time to be able to develop that mindset. And it's because for a long time, I just focused on how I talked, focused on the speech part. But it's the daily habits that I keep in place. It's the standard I hold myself to. That's what sustains you. That's what builds that discipline. Because to stop stuttering, it's going to be the hardest thing you ever do. So not only do you have to be disciplined in your practice and how you talk in conversations, but you also have to build that discipline into your lifestyle. Because if you don't have discipline, your systems will fall apart. And systems for change. So I've talked about the belief system. Now we got to talk about how do we put that into practice, right? Creating these habits in your everyday life to hold yourself to a higher standard. Because as I said before, we don't rise to our goals, but we fall to our standards. And our standards are elevated by our systems. Practice. Practice to make progress. Practice for improvement. This is daily. we need to keep the mindset, keep that disciplined mind on task. And so we want to continue to practice. And that's through the day. In the morning, I start off with my morning exercise routine to get my body moving, to get my mind moving. And then I go into my affirmations, my intentions, my gratitudes, my goals. And then I create a checklist of all the things that I'm trying to accomplish that day. And how can I find in my schedule multiple times to practice? It's better to practice in short increments throughout the day than it is to set aside one set time to practice. So I would encourage you, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to practice reading out loud for a half hour, start with 3 times at 10 minutes instead. I think talking out loud, reading out loud is the most powerful way to practice because you are repatterning your speech. I have talked about how I read to my kids every night. Right? I have my own books that I also read out loud. Because the more that I can repattern my speech, the more fluent I'm going to be. I've been doing this for a while now, so it's really easy for me to read out loud, especially something that someone else has wrote down. I think to progress that, a very powerful thing to do is to create a journal of your thoughts, and then practice reading that out loud so that you practice getting your own ideas out, your own thoughts out. I have my journals here, right? I journal. I call it my flow journal because that's the things I'm trying to write down so that I can get my thoughts moving and then I can get my speech moving as well. The practice for improvement. As you get better at things, it's just like anything else. As you improve, you got to increase the difficulty. That's what I think, going from someone who has written something out and then going to your own thoughts. You also want to practice in every conversation. And it doesn't need to be perfect. You just have to be thoughtful about your approach. The answers are in the struggle. We learn from failure. We become more resilient through failure. Putting yourself out there builds character, it builds courage. We need to be brave. It is hard. Every day, a part of my practice is I try to get in one conversation that I don't normally do. If it's on the phone, if it's engaging a stranger at the gym or someone on the street, trying to build the difficulty, to build my confidence so that I can be more confident in every other situation out there. If the practice is harder than real life, then that's then real life becomes easier, or I should say, real world conversations. Build discipline through your habits, not just with your speech, but with everything you do. That will carry over to strengthening the mind to be able to stay disciplined with your speech. It's too easy to panic and just survive and just try to force anything out there. It's hard to wait, to pause. I know that tension builds up. The more you do that, the more you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, the more you will thrive in every situation. So, in conclusion, we have our foundation is our belief system. And then on top of that is putting that belief system in practice by building discipline. The disciplined mind will overcome. It's not easy. It's actually very hard. That's why so few people have discipline. I hope this helps. Like, subscribe, comment if there's anything that you would like me to talk about. I also want to say I am talking about stuttering, but the things I'm talking about can apply to any change you want to make. Have a great day. Win the day. I'll see you next time. Thanks for hearing me out.